is the 26th of October, 2020. Chapter 2, Part 1, Floor Guardians. To me, demons of the Lemon-Tongue. The golems which had heeded Mononaga's command were made of rare metal. They moved before him with an agility that belied their heavy bodies, and took the ready stance they had assumed earlier. Now that Mononaga had decided to go with his theory, virtual reality had become reality. His first concern was to guarantee his own safety. Although the NPC he had met so far had readily obeyed him, there was no guarantee that the others he met would react in the same way. Also, even if they were all friendly, he did not know when danger would next appear. Mononaga's life and death hinged on whether or not he could use such things as Nazaric's facilities, the golems, his items, his magic, and so on. Well, that's one problem solved. Mononaga muttered to himself in relief as he looked at the golems. He then ordered them only to listen to him. That way, even in the worst case situation, if one or more NPCs revolted, he would have an ace in the hole. Mononaga, satisfied with the mighty looking golems, looked towards at his bony hands. He wore 9 rings on his 10 fingers, and only his left finger was bare. Usually, in Yggdrasil, one could only wear 2 rings, one on each hand. However, Mononaga had used permanent cash items, which were very, very expensive, to let him wear a full 10 rings, one on each finger, and use all their powers at once. This was not unique to Mononaga. Most players who valued power could spend that money too. One of the 9 rings Mononaga wore had an emblem on it which resembled the symbol embroidered upon the large red banner behind the throne. That ring was called the Ring of Irons Orgon. Every member of Irons Orgon possessed the magic ring that Mononaga wore on his right finger. Although he could use the power of 10 rings at once with the aid of cash items, when he applied the cash item, he had to decide which ring he wanted to assign to which finger. That decision was irreversible. Even so, Mononaga had removed the ring on his left ring finger and sent it to the treasury. The reason why Mononaga had assigned somewhat weaker rings to that finger was because it would be very useful under certain circumstances, but he rarely wore it because it had a constant effect. The power of the Ring of Irons Orgon was unlimited teleportation between named rooms in the great underground tomb of Nazareth. It would even allow one to teleport into the tomb from the outside. Since Nazareth was ordered to block teleportation into or within itself, except for very few specific areas, this ring was very handy. The only places where this ring could not teleport its wearer was to the throne room and the various guild members' personal rooms. This ring was also required to enter the treasury, which is why he could not do it without it. Mononaga sighed. After this, he would be using the ring's power. He was not sure if the ring could still do everything he expected, but he had no choice except to test it out. As he unleashed the ring's power, the world before him instantly turned black. Right after that, the scenery in front of him changed, and his surroundings were now a dark tunnel. At the end of the tunnel, he could see what looked like a giant lowered portico. Within the tunnel were artificial lights. It worked. Mononaga muttered to himself, relieved at the successful teleport. He walked down the wide and high passage towards the portico. The stone floor amplified the sound of Mononaga's footsteps, and at times he could hear echoes. The torches that lined the tunnel flickered constantly, and as a result, the shadows they made seemed to dance. Bathed in the light of several torches, he cast several shadows at once. It seemed as though there were multiple Mononagas. What passed before his nose should have been little more than a hole in his skull. Yet still, he smelled something as he drew near the portico. Mononaga, surprised, took a deep breath. It was a strong scent of earth and grass, the smell of the jungle. Much like his encounters with Albedo just now, the intensely realistic sense in a world that should not have possessed such things only convinced Mononaga of the reality of the world he was in. But how did his body breathe without lungs or a windpipe? Mononaga felt that thinking too much about such things was foolish, put it aside. As though it sensed Mononaga's approach, the hot breeze swiftly raised itself into the ceiling, at just the right moment to let him through. Past the barrier, what Mononaga saw was a circular arena, surrounded by many tiers of audience seats. The Colosseum was an oval in a shape, 180 meters on its long axis, and 150 meters on its short axis. It was 40 meters tall, and modeled after the arenas of the Roman Empire. There were continual light spells cast everywhere, illuminating the grounds in white light, so one could observe the entire Colosseum like it was day. The audience was composed of many clay dolls, golems in other words, which showed no signs of activity. In this Colosseum, the intruders would be the stars of the show, while the ones watching from the VIP box would be members of Ainz Orgon. The main event, of course, would be a brutal melee. Apart from the 1500-man invasion, every single invader had met their end here. Mononaga walked into a corner in the center of the arena, and looked into the heavens. Before him stretched a black expanse of night sky. Perhaps he might have been able to see the stars if there were no lights around him. However, this place was the 6th floor of the great underground tomb of Nazareth, so the sky here was merely a virtual imitation. Even that imitation required a massive amount of data, but as a result, the sky here could change with the time of the day, even showing an actual sun with the appropriate daylight effects. Mononaga could relax himself in this virtual landscape, because Mononaga's heart was still human. As opposed to his skeletal appearance, it was also because he felt a sense of appreciation for his comrades' hard work in building this place. Part of him wanted just to wait and space out here, but the present situation denied him that luxury. Mononaga looked around. Nobody was there. The twins should have been here taking care of this place. He noticed something. Ooh! After the shout, a figure leapt from the VIP box. The figure jumped down from a height of about 6 stories, somersaulted in mid-air, and landed as though it were a butterfly descending on a flower. There was no magic involved, only pure physical prowess. It negated the force of the impact with a simple flexing of the knees, and it smiled broadly. V! Made the V sign of victory. A child of about 11 descended from above. Her face bore a smile that was bright as the sun. She was adorable, with the unctuous appeal of both a boy and a girl. Her hair resembled threads of spun gold, and graced her shoulders. The light reflected off the strands of hair resembled an angel's halo. Her mismatched eyes, one blue, one red, seemed as eager and sparkly as a puppy's. Her ears were long, and his skin was dark. She was a dark species related to foresters. She wore a shirt of light leather armor, reinforced with red dragon scales. The emblem of Ainz Orgon was proudly displayed on her vest, stitched in gold onto a white background. Below that, she wore a pair of white pants, matching her vest. A necklace with a glittering gold acorn pendant hung from her neck. She wore a pair of gloves reinforced with plates of enchanted metal. Her whip coiled around her waist and right shoulder. There was a long bow on her back. The bow, staff, and grip seemed to be covered in a strange decoration. Aura, is it? Mononaga spoke the name of the dark elf chap. He was addressing the guardian of the 6th floor of the great underground tomb of Nazareth. Aura Bella Flora. She was a skirmisher who was able to summon and tame beasts. Aura jogged over to Mononaga. Well, to her, it was a jogging pace, but she was traveling as fast as one of her beasts at full speed, rapidly closing the distance between them. Aura screeched to a halt. Her running shoes had heliocane metal plates on the soles, and they threw up clouds of dust as they ground against the floor of the arena. The clouds did not touch Mononaga's body. If she had planned that, then his skills must have been impressive indeed. Whoop! Aura was not sweating, yet she wiped her forehead theatrically. Then with a poopy-like smile, she greeted Mononaga. Welcome, Mononaga-san. Welcome to Level 1 Guard. The greeting was filled with the same respect that Alberto, Sebas, and the maids had for him. But for some reason it felt more intimate. To Mononaga, this intimacy allowed him to loosen up. Being too uptight and and scary was quite troublesome for Mononaga, who had not experienced this sort of things. He could not detect any hostility on Aura's face, and his enemy scan revealed nothing. Mononaga's line of sight left the band on his right wrist, and he loosened his grip on the staff on his old arm. He had planned to strike hard and fade away if an emergency occurred, but it seemed as though there would be no need for this. I'll be intruding for a while. What are you saying? You are the Master of Nazareth, the Supreme Overlord, right, Mononaga-sama? There's no place for you to be intruding if you visit it. I see. Speaking of which, if you're here, Mayor. Upon hearing Mononaga's question, Aura blinked in surprise, as though she had realized some great truth, and turned around, shouting loudly upwards. Mononaga-sama has graced us with his presence. How rude are you going to be by not showing your face to him? There were movement in the shadows of the agreement. Was Mira there too? Yes, that's right. Mononaga-sama, he's really timid. Oi, jump down here now! An almost inaudible reply came from the VIP box. Judging by the distance between there and here, it was a miracle that the other party could even hear Aura. However, that miracle was the result of the magic on Aura's lips. I can't see. Oni-chan. Aura took a deep breath and grabbed her hand. Mononaga-sama, he's just scared. He's definitely not trying to insult you. As a member of society, one had to know when to speak one's heart, and one to say things which were appropriate for the occasion. Mononaga nodded and answered in a gentle way to put Aura at ease. Of course, Aura. I have never doubted your loyalty. Aura sighed in relief. Then she became serious again before shouting angrily at the VIP box. The Supreme Being, Ainz-sama, has come to visit us, but you as a floor guardian aren't even here to meet him. You know how disrespectful that is. If you're too scared to jump down, maybe a quick kick will substitute for courage. Oh no. I'll take the stairs down. How long do you want Ainz-sama to wait? Get over here now. I got it. Mara had gathered up his courage. His voice still seemed unsteady. After that, a figure jumped out of the VIP box. As expected, it was a dark. This dark elf was particularly wobbly on his feet, really different from how Aura had handled her landing. However, he did not seem to be hurt. He must have skillfully dissipated the forces of landing with some athletic trick. After that, he immediately began running over as quickly as he could. However, his top speed was still much slower than Aura's. She must have thought so too, because she frowned and shouted, Hurry up! Yes! The child would finally arrived in front of Ainz-sama, looked almost identical to Aura. They had to be twins, given the way they shared the same hair, the same eyes, and the same features. However, Aura was the sun, then Mara was the moon. He looked nervous, though he was afraid of being scolded. Mononaga was surprised by this stark difference between the two. However, from what Mononaga knew, Mara should not have been like this. Even if one wrote a long character description that the NPCs would not be reflected in their personalities. Yet, these two dark elf children were displayed animated emotions in front of one another. It must be the Aura and Mare that Ubuku-chama-san wanted to see. Ubuku-chama was the guild member who had designed these two dark elves. If only she could have been here for this. I'm sorry I kept you waiting, Mononaga-sama. He nervously raised his head to peek at Mononaga. He wore a vest of blue scales and a small cape that was green as jungle leaves. His clothes had the same basic white color as Aura, and the short section of his flesh peeked out below his short skirt. Short, as the rest of his legs were covered in white silk stockings. He had an acorn-shaped pendant on a necklace like Aura. This was made of silk. Mara was much more lightly armed than Aura, with a pair of lustrous white gloves in his dainty little hands, and a round black staff on his hands. Mare Bello Fico. Like Aura, he was the guardian of the sixth floor in the great underground tomb of Nazareth. Mononaga squirted. Through his eyes were merely empty sockets, and looked at him, or thrust her chest forward proudly, while Mara simply cowered under Mononaga's gaze. He nodded several times, musing that two of them were indeed the incarnation of his comrade's hard work. I am glad to see the two of you are in good spirits. I am positively overflowing with energy, although it's been a bit boring recently. It'd be nice if we had an intruder too. I would rather not have to meet intruders. They're scary. After hearing Mara's word, Aura's expression changed. Ha! Mononaga-sama, please excuse me for a while. Mara, come with me. Oh, oh. Ne-chan, that hurts. After seeing Mononaga not slack, Aura pinched Mara by the tip of one of his ears, dragged him away from Mononaga. Then she began whispering into Mara's ear. Even from a distance, one could tell that she was scolding. Intruders, ha! Well, much like you, I don't want to meet them either, Mara. At least I'd rather meet them after having the chance to meet all the preparations and Mononaga thought as he watched the twins' guardians from above. After he snapped back to reality, Mononaga realized that Mara was on his knees in front of Aura, who was hurling a torrent of abuse. Mononaga smiled. The scene reminded him of that brother and sister who were his friends. Good grief. Mara was clearly not made by Peron Shino-san. Was this because Oboko-chama-san believed that little brothers should listen to their big sisters? Come to think about it, Aura and Mara should have died once. How should I address them? The invasion of 1,500 people had made it down to the 8th floor, which was to say Aura and Mara should have died there. Did they remember anything about it? What meaning did the concept of death have for these two anyway? According to Ikusu's rules, death would cost the character 5 levels and force him to drop one of his equipped items. In other words, characters below level 5 would immediately disappear. Players were especially exempt from this and would not vanish, but they would still be reduced to the minimum level 1. Therefore, it must have been an issue with the game rules. Using spells like Resurrection or Raise Dead would mitigate this level loss. In addition, the use of the cash items would only lose a bit of experience. It's similar for NPCs, as long as the guild paid their requisite fees to resurrect them, they would be recalled to life without any guild fees. Therefore, players who wanted to respect their characters often favored using death to lower one's level. Well, the loss of even a single level was a harsh punishment in a game where each level required a lot of experience points. Losing levels was not such a frightening prospect in this. This is because the game's company wanted its players to explore previously undiscovered regions, find new things, instead of hunting down in familiar territory, because they were afraid of losing levels. All this in mind, the 2 players who perished in the wake of the 1,500 man invasion, the same after their resurrection, Mononaga wanted to verify this, but at the same time he did not want to disturb them unduly. For all he knew, that large invasion might have been a traumatic experience for Aura. Mononaga felt it would be unwise to question her in that manner, and she had showed no overt sign of hostility. One thing was that they were leveling crafting NPCs, his friends, 9 soul gone. Perhaps after setting all of their accumulated problems, he would ask her about it. In addition, the concept of death in game might be different from outsiders. Of course, if one died in reality, that was the end of everything. However, that might not be the case right now. I wanted to perform an experiment on this. First, you need to collect information and establish priorities. Thus, putting this matter aside would be a wise decision. After all, Mononaga still had many doubts about how Ikusu he knew. Aura was still scolding Mara as Mononaga stood in contemplation. Mononaga pitied Mary. After all, he had not said anything that would warrant such wrathful castration. In the past, when brothers and sisters argued, all Mononaga could do was watch. Now, things were different. That should be enough, don't you think? Mononaga-sama, but you are a guardian, Mayor. It's fine, Aura. I understand how you feel. It is only natural that you would feel unhappy if Mara, as a floor guardian, said such cowardly things, especially if it were in my presence. However, I believe that if anyone invaded the great underground tomb of Nazareth, you and Mara would fiercely step forward to engage it. There is no need for scolding, as long as one does what is required of them when the time comes. Mononaga walked up between the two of them and held Mara. And Mara, you should be grateful to your kind sister. Even if I were angry, I could not remain so after seeing how your sister scolded. Mara looked in surprise at his sister. At this moment, Aura hurriedly said, No, it's not like that. It wasn't scolding him to show off in front of you, Mononaga-san. Aura, it is fine. It doesn't matter what you had in mind. I understand your kind intention. However, I must tell you that I am not dissatisfied with Mara's performance. Yes, thank you, Mononaga-san. Thank you very much. Mononaga felt uncomfortable as he watched the two of them bow. He felt particularly ill at ease as he saw them look into their shining eyes. In order to camouflage the embarrassment he felt at being looked at that way, Mononaga coughed. That's right. Aura. I think you said something being bored because there were no truth. About that. Seeing Aura's fearful reaction, Mononaga felt bad about asking this. I do not intend to reapproach you for answer, so feel free to speak your mind. Yeah, a little. There's nobody around here who can spar with me for more than 5 minutes. Aura touched her index finger together before looking up thoughtfully to Mononaga. Guardian, Aura was level 100. There were precious few opponents in this dungeon which could rival her. There were 9 such NPCs, including Aura and Mara, so there was one other. What if Mara was your opponent? Mara's body trembled as she shrank away. He shook his head with moist eyes and looked very afraid. Aura sighed as she saw the way. As Aura sighed, a sweet scent filled the surroundings. Unlike the fragrance, the bitters radiated. This scent seemed somewhat persistent. As he remembers Aura's ability, Mononaga took a step away from the scent. Sorry, Mononaga-san. As Aura noticed Mononaga's strange reaction, she hurriedly dispersed the scent with her hand. Among Aura's skill as a beast tamer, there were certain passive skills that had buffing and debuffing effects. These abilities acted through her breath and had a radius of several meters, some were even up to 10 meters. With the effects of certain skills, the radius could be enlarged to unbelievable proportions. Yggdrasil's icons representing buffs and debuffs appeared in one field of vision, so one could see if they were under the effects of an ability. However, no indication of these changes appeared before, which made things quite troublesome. It should be fine now. I can't stand it. Is that so? Although you're undead, so mind-affecting effects shouldn't work on you, right, Mononaga-san? It was true in Yggdrasil. The undead were immune to mind-affecting abilities, whether positive or negative. Was I within the effective radius? Aura lowered her head in fear, and so did Mara beside her. I am not angry. Mononaga said in as gentle as a voice as he could manage. Aura, you do not have to be afraid. You think such a simple skill would inconvenience me? I was simply asking if I were within the effective range of your skill. Yes, just now, you're within range of my skill. After hearing Aura's energetic answer as a relief flooded back into her, Mononaga realized that his very presence filled Aura with fear. Once he noticed this, he felt a clenching pain in his non-existent stomach. What if he became weaker from this? Every time he thought about it, he tried desperately to put it out of his mind. And what was its effect? The effect just now should have been fear. He did not feel afraid. It was said one would not be affected by attacks from the guild or party to which one belonged. Although there was a very real chance this rule no longer applies. It would be best to verify that now. Aura, I was just thinking that your skill should not have an effect on people from the same guild, same group. Aura's eye went wide, much like Mara did from the side. Judging from their reactions, Mononaga realized they did not agree with her. Am I mistaken? Yes. Could it be you mixed you up with the ability to change the range of one's skills? So it seemed the rules to save in friendly fire was no longer in effect. Mara was not effective of being near Aura. That might be because she had equipped an item which negated mind-affecting effects on herself. In contrast, the undead Mononaga Defiant aspect did not have any data which protected against mind-affecting abilities. In that case, Mononaga not feel fear. There were two possibilities. He might have resisted with his base stats, or resisted with his immunity from being an undead creature. He was not sure which hypothesis was correct. Mononaga decided to conduct an experiment. Did you try using other effects? Aura tilted her head and made a strange noise of bafflement. Mononaga was reminded of the puppy who reached out to stroke Aura's head. Her hair and scalp felt smooth as silk. Caressing her was very comfortable. Because Aura did not seem to mind, Mononaga wanted to keep going. However, Mara looked a little frightened as he stared at them from the side, so he paused. What was Mara thinking of? After thinking for a short while, Mononaga released his staff and ruffled Mara's hair with the other hand. The quality of Mara's hair felt better, but Mononaga hardly paid it any heed as he rubbed their heads until he was satisfied. Then he remembered what he was doing. Then, I have something to ask you. I plan to conduct certain experiments. I'll need your help with it. First, the two of them didn't know how to respond to them. However, when Mononaga's hand left their heads, the two of them had embarrassed yet happy look on their faces. Aura cheerfully replied, "Yes, I understand. Mononaga-sama, leave it to me." Mononaga reached out a hand to quell Aura. Before that, Mononaga gripped the floating staff in his hand. Just like before, when he used the power of the ring, focused on the staff. One of the many powers he possessed, Mononaga concentrated on one of the gems which decorated the staff. It was a divine class item called the Gem of the Moon, and the ability Mononaga chose called forth moonlight wolves. As the summoning magic took effect, 3 beasts appeared out of thin air. The special effects of the summoning were the same as in Iguchi, so Mononaga was not surprised by them. Moonlight wolves looked very similar to Siberian wolves, but they radiated a silver glow. Mononaga could feel a mysterious connection between himself and the moonlight wolves. It clearly showed he was the master he said to. Are those moonlight wolves? Aura's tone showed she did not understand. At all, she had no idea why Mononaga would summon such weak monsters. Moonlight wolves were hardly agile. They were useful for ambushes, but they were only level 20 or so. They were very weak monsters compared to Aura and Mononaga. However, monsters of this level were enough for their purpose this time. In fact, weak they were, but yes they are. Now include me in the radius of your skill. Wait, really? It's far. Mononaga's insistence was so great that even the dubious Aura was ahead. Given that they were no longer in the game, there was a possibility he could not ignore, which was that Aura's skill might not have activated properly. Not to rule that out, he had to expose himself to the skill with a third party, which is why he had summoned the moonlight wolves. After that, Aura exhaled several times, but Mononaga did not feel affected in any way. He tried relaxing, turning around in the middle of the skill. He felt nothing strange. However, the moonlight wolves behind him were affected. Thus, included Aura's skill had taken effect. In this experiment, Mononaga learned the mind-affecting abilities not weapon. This meant, in the game, demi-humans and heteromorphic races included racial skills when they reached certain levels. Overlord, like Mononaga, had the following skills. Create high-tier undead 4 times per day, create mid-tier undead 12 times per day, create low-tier undead 20 times per day. Negative energy charge, despair aura B, instant death. Negative protection, dark soul, black halo, undead blessing, unholy protection, wisdom of darkness, speak evil tongues, ability damage 4, piercing damage resistance 5, slashing damage resistance 5, turn resistance 3, high tier physical immunity 3, high tier magic immunity 3, cold, acid, and electrical immunity, as well as arcane vision / scene visibility. And then were the abilities from his class level. Instant death, magic enchantment, rite of darkness, undead aura, undead creation, undead control, undead strengthening, and so on. Then there were the basic special qualities which all undead possessed: immunity to critical hits, mind effect, poison, disease, sleep, paralysis, death, and energy drain effects, resistance to necromancy and biological penalties. Undead did not need to breathe, eat, or drink. They were healed by negative energy and had dark visions. Of course, they had weaknesses too, like good, light, and holy vulnerability, level 4, plunging vulnerability, 5, vulnerability to holy and good consecrated areas, 2, double damage from fire, and so on. This meant that Mononaga could be sure that he still possessed the basic abilities of an undead being, with special skills gained through leveling up. I see. Well, this was an informative experiment. Thank you all. Are you alright? Yes, I'm fine. Is that so? Return. The 3 moonlight wolves vanished as through time itself had turned backwards. Mononaga-sama, did you come to our floor in order to perform those experiments just now? Mara was nodding beside her. No, in truth, I came here for training. Training, eh? For you, Mononaga-sama? Aura and Mara's eyes were so wide it seemed like they might fall out of their sockets. Their surprise was unnatural. After all, who would expect to hear such a thing from Mononaga? A powerful magic caster, the supreme ruler of the great underground zoo of Nartrek. so was the one who stood above all. Mononaga would have anticipated this reaction swiftly replied. Indeed. After seeing Mononaga's swift reply, and the light impact of his staff on the ground, realization dawned on Aura's face. Mononaga was quite pleased with himself, as this reaction had fallen within his scope of prediction. Is that the legendary weapon of the highest order which only you may wield, Mononaga-sama? Legendary weapon? What did he mean by that? Mononaga had his doubt. After seeing Mara's shining eyes, he knew the question had not been asked with ill intentions. Indeed, this is the staff of Iron Skull, which I made with my guild members. Mononaga raised the staff, and immediately radiated a beautiful glow, which lit up its surroundings. The glow was as blinding as the staff itself. However, the surroundings were filled with auspicious flickering shadows, which emitted an aura of menace. Mononaga's voice was more animated and proud when he spoke. The 7 gems in the staff's snake mouths are all divine class artifacts. Since they all belong to a set, having them together unlocks even greater power beyond their base abilities. Gathering them all required an incalculable amount of time and effort, and many of our members stated that they wanted to quit during the process. I can't remember how many monsters we found for their drops. Anyway, in addition, the staff's power is beyond that of a divine class item. In fact, it almost approached that staff of a world class item. Its most potent features is its automatic engagement system. It seemed he had gotten carried away. He had built it with his comrades in the past, but because he had never taken it out before, there had been no chance for it to shine. Now that he had the chance to show it off, his praise surged with forth like a rising tide. Mononaga forcefully quelled his desire to flaunt his knife. How embarrassing. Something like that. That's amazing. That's totally awesome, Mononaga-sama. Mononaga almost laughed as he saw their eyes. He tried his best to suppress the delighted expression on his face. Although skeletons had no expressions, he could see. Which is why I wanted to run some experiments with this thing. Hope you can help. Yes, understood. We'll go prepare right away. Then, could you see the power of the staff? That's fine, then. I shall show you a fraction of the power of this mighty staff, which only I can. Awesome! Aura exclaimed as she jumped up and down adorably. Mario was hard-pressed to hide his delight. It could be seen from the switching tips of his hair. Oh, this is bad. I can't let my stern face slip because of this. Mononaga tried to regain his dignity as he reminded himself of the There's one more thing. I've already ordered the Order Guardians. They will arrive at the hour. Eh? You need to get ready for? No, there's no need. All you need to do is stay here and wait. Is that so? All the Guardians? That means Shaltia is coming too. All the Guardians. Ha! Aura's long ears suddenly dropped. However, Aura's reaction was not as exaggerated as Aura's. According to her backstory, Aura was designed to have a poor relationship with Shaltia. That was probably not the case for Mara. What would happen next? Mononaga sighed